First, let's start with this case. I'm an 18-year-old female. My best friend, Sarah, started dating someone online a few months ago, and it has changed our relationship dynamic. We've been arguing frequently due to misunderstandings. I asked her parents if I could fly up to see her for her birthday, and they paid for the tickets despite my offer to cover it myself. However, Sarah told me she planned to spend most of her time on with her boyfriend and might kick me out of her room. This made me reconsider the trip, as I wanted to visit her, not just be a third wheel. After a misunderstanding, she clarified that she would call him during downtime and spend holidays with him, which seemed fair. We hung up, but then her boyfriend texted me, he already had my number, about Sarah having a bad day and said my uncertainty about visiting made it worse. I felt this was inappropriate and told him to mind his business. Sarah then told me I couldn't speak to him that way and that she had given him permission to text me the message. I was shocked and explained that he crossed a boundary. She responded that her business was his, which made me feel disrespected. I had her parents cancel my tickets, but I expressed gratitude for their support. I felt uncomfortable visiting, especially with the potential for further arguments and disrespect for my boundaries. Sarah defended her boyfriend, saying he was just trying to help and that she really wanted me there for her birthday. She was upset that I won't be there, expressing that it hurt her deeply, especially since she had fought her dad for months to be able to visit me, though he ultimately said no. I reminded her that I had to remind her about my own birthday during a busy time when she was moving. She said it will take a long time for her to get over the hurt of me choosing not to visit. I think I might be the idiot because at the end of the day, it is her 18th birthday, and I don't want her to hold this over my head. I don't want to be in an environment where I might argue again, and I'd rather focus on my own life and obligations. Given the situation, do you think I did anything wrong? Am I in the wrong for canceling my trip to see my best friend for her 18th birthday? Let's start judging. Her business is his business? If that's how she feels, fine. But giving him your number without your permission was your business. She gave him permission to text you, but you didn't give him permission or give her permission to give him your number. Block them both and go about your life. You're not in the wrong. She has made it clear it will suck for you if you go, and that she expects you to go anyway. Saying no, I'd rather not, is a superpower when everything about a situation is telling you not to do something. And the boyfriend texting you with her permission is super cringe. I kept in contact with only one person I knew when I was your age and have no regrets. Friends come and go throughout your life, and you'll make more friends that are better by focusing on people that respect and genuinely care about you. Your friend is being a total idiot, so there are going to be times in life where you outgrow people. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but this is actually a good sign. You have self-respect and boundaries that you are enforcing. You are reading and seeing the signs of an unhealthy friendship. You are being strong about it and standing up for yourself. This shows personal growth on your end. That being said, it's never easy. It hurts losing people that once meant the world to us. I still miss my bestie of 15 years. It's almost been 15 years since we parted ways at this point. I remember the good times, but I'm also proud of myself for growing and recognizing that we weren't on the same path in life anymore. I'm proud of you for respecting yourself and knowing this friendship is not that great and may even be unhealthy at this point. Next up, the title pretty much sums up the situation. My father owns a rental property, which we live in, and the remaining 2 units are rented out. Tenant number 2, who we will call Mary, drops off her rental check in our mailbox. If she is on vacation or otherwise going away for an extended period of time, she'll give her rent before she leaves. Sometimes her brother will bring the rent by to us on her behalf when she is away. It always gets dropped off in our mailbox. Tenant number 1, who we will call Juan, does not like to use our mailbox to drop off his rent check. He insists on dropping off his rent in person to whoever is home. If no one is home, or we don't get back until really late, then he will try again the next day. We've told him the mailbox is fine, but he insists on in-person delivery, as he is afraid of check theft, check washing. This would be fine, except he doesn't wait for us to open the door. He knocks, rings the doorbell, and when I get to the top of the stairs and look down, he already has the door open and is waiting by the bottom of the stairs. We live on the top floor. The door to our house opens up to a staircase, which leads up to the kitchen to one side and the hallway to the family room on the other side. Unless we lock the door, which we don't necessarily do during the daytime when we are home, he just opens the door and lets himself in, never going further than the landing at the bottom of the stairs. Today, he came by to drop off the rent. As expected, he rang the doorbell and was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, having let himself in. I asked him, painfully polite as I am terrified of confrontation, "Hi, Juan. Next time, can you please wait for one of us to open the door?" He looked like I cursed his ancestors, spat in his face, and poop on his carpet. He said, "You don't want me to open the door?" I said we would prefer if he waited for one of us to open the door for him. He said he opens the door because he doesn't know if our doorbell works. I assured him, with a smile on my face, that it does work, and that we hear it loud and clear whenever he rings it. He said okay and left, visibly upset. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough how much I hate confrontation, and what a people-pleaser I am. I was smiling the entire time, asked him how he and his family were doing, and was pleasant the entire time. He looked at me like I spoke some unimaginable horror. Am I crazy, Reddit? Is it wrong of me to have asked Juan to wait by the door to our home until one of us opens it? I feel like not wanting someone to let themselves into your home isn't a big ask, but he looked so offended that I am going crazy questioning myself over it. I leave it to you guys to pass judgment. Edit to add a few things. Bumping up edit 4. Additional edit to clarify that the front door is locked 24/7. It is the back door that is left unlocked for a small window in the middle of the day, and only when someone is home. The door is locked the majority of the time. There is a small window of a few hours in the middle of the day, only when someone is home, that my parents, the actual homeowners, will leave the door unlocked to allow family to come in. I am not the homeowner. I would keep the door locked 24/7 if I was. To the person who said they'd like to see my reaction if something actually important happened in my life, when I said I am going crazy, it was just hyperbole. I am more so confused at the tenant's strong reaction. Additional edit to clarify that the front door is locked 24/7. It is the back door that is left unlocked for a small window in the middle of the day, and only when someone is home. Additional edit to add that my parents don't care how the tenants pay, whether it is a paper check or an e-transfer. The tenants are older and prefer to deal with paper checks. I said what I did to Juan at the request of my parents. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. But why do they need to pay by check? It seems so antiquated when they can just automatically transfer the rent into your bank each month. After the first or second time this happened, I would have been locking my door. This is kinda creepy having someone, even if it is a tenant/neighbor, entering your house without being invited or getting permission. You're not in the wrong, but why would you not just fix the problem by keeping the door locked? You are creating your own issue here. Well, you're not in the wrong, but 2 things. Try not to read into how he looked. You don't know what that was about. Second, lock the door, even if you're home. I would think, especially with renters, you can never be too careful, and all it takes is one time for something horrible to happen. Next up, my next-door neighbor has 3 pet wallabies. They look like tiny kangaroos. I don't know the difference, which apparently is legal in South Carolina. The HOA CCR mentions nothing about pet sizes, limits, etc., but they're pissed about the wallabies. There really is no reason to. Our backyards are like 140 feet by 100, which is apparently more than the recommended bare minimum for keeping pet wallabies of 50 by 50 feet. I Googled searching for pet wallabies. There's also 3 of them so they can socialize. The animals are clearly kept for not being abused, and most importantly, they are not a nuisance. They are not bothering anyone. Our president is just a dick who wants to get rid of them. Since the HOA CCR mentions nothing about them, he's trying to amend it or get a vote to make them remove them or be fined. Most of the neighborhood said no because nobody else cares. I don't care either. So when the HOA president knocked on my door asking me to take his side, I said, I am not interested. please don't bother me about this again. He kept trying to talk to me, so I slammed the door. Another HOA member came back a few days later, and I said, "I told you guys I'm not interested, so please stop," and I slammed the door. She kept ringing my doorbell, and when I opened, she said I was so rude, so I told her, "I told you twice to piss off. Now leave me alone," and I slammed the door. I started getting letters asking me to vote, and I got another visit from the president again. I told him he had 10 seconds to leave before I called the police, so he did. Let's start judging. As an Australian, this is actually really saddening. Wallabies are not domestic animals. I cannot express the sadness it brings knowing a wallaby is fenced in. Australians can't even keep them as pets, and the exotic pet trade is not one I could ever support. You're not in the wrong. If the CCR doesn't specifically exclude exotic pets, the board doesn't have a leg to stand on. Most CCRs state that they have to have an astronomically high number of homeowners to vote yes on an amendment too. So depending on how big your neighborhood is, the likelihood that an amendment will pass for this is pretty small. Honestly, I'd still file a report with the police for harassment against the board for badgering you to vote a certain way. That way you have it on record that they have been harassing you in case they try any further illegal actions. HOA boards do not have the right to badger homeowners just to get their way, and if they come on your property again, you can get them for trespassing. Source: was a member of my HOA board for 3 years. Quit when the ungrateful homeowners got petty about minor stuff: yards not being mowed during the pandemic, landscapers not coming out as much due to being short-staffed, etc. You're not in the wrong. This type of story is so common it's sad. I live in an HOA. I have insert literally anything here that the bylaws don't restrict or mention as not allowed in any way. One person in HOA doesn't like that I have this thing. They spend all of their free time trying to dictate what I can and can't do inside of my own home and on my own property that fits well within the community guidelines. Nobody else cares, but this person seems to have nothing better to do than try to exert what little power they have over others through this vessel. I lived in a ridiculous white picket fence HOA with the most obnoxious requirements. I'd made the mistake of not reading carefully enough. I'm clean and simple, so it wasn't a big deal for me, but my neighbor got fined weekly. Once for having a jet ski visible in his driveway, which was behind the house, and our street was in the very back corner of the neighborhood where there were literally no houses behind us or to the left or right that could have had visibility of this. Someone had to drive down the little alleyway and check his driveway. So he put up a small lattice fence that didn't look bad to help conceal it so it wasn't an eyesore. They fined him for non-conforming architecture. I'll never live within an HOA again. Next up, my niece J, 10F, was the only granddaughter when my mother died in 2020. When she died, she wanted my niece to have her porcelain doll collection, which had around 6 dolls. These porcelain dolls were around when I was a child, and I had memories of getting in trouble for playing with them. They were absolutely beautiful. Well, when my mother died, IDF decided to keep 1 doll. I know it wasn't left to me, but I felt like they meant more to me than they could to my niece. I contemplated giving it back to her when she was old enough to appreciate it. We're from Louisiana, and Hurricane Laura hit when we evacuated. I took the doll with me because I knew it was sentimental and irreplaceable. My niece, however, let all of the remaining 5 dolls get ruined in Hurricane because she let them in the house when Ware got ruined. My twin sister, Jay's mom, thinks that it's only fair that I give Jay the doll. I kept safe because, after all, it was left for her. My argument is that if I would have gave her the doll, it would have gotten ruined with the other ones because she didn't care enough about them to take them with her. Fast forward, we are now in 2025, and I have a daughter of my own. I 100% believe if my mom would have known she was going to have another granddaughter, she would have left a doll to her. Am I in the wrong? Let's start judging. You're in the wrong for a few reasons. It is not, nor was it ever your doll. It was always your niece's doll. Your mother very specifically said they were all to go to your niece. If you wanted one, you should have told your mother this before she died and asked if you could have one. Your niece didn't leave the doll during a hurricane evacuation because she didn't give a crap about the dolls. They were left because, as a minor young child, she was relying on her parents to get out in an incredibly scary situation. Wrapping up a bunch of dolls, no matter how sentimental the priority for any of them was, not and has nothing to do with any of this. It doesn't matter how sure you are about how your mom would feel now, since there is another granddaughter. You could be 100% imprint sure. It doesn't matter because your mom is dead and left zero thoughts about that. You went against your mother's wishes and pretty much stole a doll from a child. You're in the wrong for doing that, and you are an even bigger idiot for refusing to give it back. You're in the wrong. Can't believe you're holding against your niece that she left the dolls during a hurricane. Do you think someone that young would be thinking of the dolls when something that scary is going on? You're in the wrong for keeping the doll to begin with when you know your mom wanted your niece to have them all. And you're a grown adult. You know it was wrong, but you still did it anyways. If you decide to keep it for your daughter, you'll most likely face a lot of backlash from your family for doing so. You're in the wrong. The doll is not yours to keep, period. Also, hang on. Your niece is 10 now, right? Laura happened in 2020. You're really trying to justify yourself by blaming a 6-year-old for not taking her dolls with her? Of her not caring enough? You, honestly, give the doll back, thief.